Hey everyone, and welcome to Planning a Habitat. This is going to be a real-time video in which I am going to do the planning of a habitat. You guys have been asking this for so long, and it's finally time to answer all of your questions, how I get the inspiration, what I do for research, and how I do plan this into the context of a zoo, because not all zoos are the same, and equally not every time you do have the same approach. So let's do this for the Venlo City Zoo today, but before we get started, a little note from the sponsor of the channel. As you all know, Instant Gaming is a platform where you guys can get very good valued keys and games and even in-game currencies, just like PlayStation and Xbox money, or how's that even called? Microsoft Xbox Gaming Live, they change their name every 3 days, I don't know. But you can basically get everything in here, including pre-orders, games, DLCs and everything you wish for. And they always have changing good offers, so just have a look, get the link in the description and just get your favorite games. Alright, let's get started with the very first step. And as I said, this is not going to be heavily edited or so. This is going to be the real-time process so that you guys will exactly understand what is happening. Now, the very first thing is I'm going to look at my zoo. I'm going to look where I am. So sometimes I'm just coming back to my project like after doing some other stuff. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's even 3 weeks, or in our case, it's over a month time. So I need to understand where I want to go with my new habitat. I also don't necessarily have set the animal already in stone. Sometimes I ask you guys if you have an idea. This time around I do have an animal in mind, and this is going to be the brown bear. The reason for that one I'm gonna get into, but we do need to understand a couple of things. So this zoo, as it is right now, is a city zoo, and the trivia we have in the zoo, so the storyline is that this is a very old city zoo that now is going to be refurbished and made into a more conservation friendly zoo. So a lot of these things have been reiterated, reused, repurposed, and this is still the ongoing theme of our zoo. So as we said, for example, last time, the dolphin habitat, the dolphin area, is a refurbished giraffe house. As you can see, this has been a savanna area and now has been turned into a, well, relatively as much as possible eco-friendly or animal-friendly dolphin habitat, dolphin lagoon. Or we have, for example, our bear shelter that has been turned into a habitat for some little monkeys and climbers and otters. Now, and this is the reason for what, like these animals over here, the bears that used to live over here, or not the bears itself, but maybe their offspring, needed to go somewhere. And what real zoos most likely do is that they, if they want to have a new habitat for them, it's like surely they are not built in 2 days, they need to kind of do a little bit of exchange. This is where like all the good zoo programs come into place. There is a huge union of a lot of zoos in Europe or in the different continents that do exchange animals every now and then. So basically what they do, they rent the animals over to another zoo for the time of building a new habitat, and then they get them back, or they get the offspring back, or they get a replacement or whatever. But they do this more often than not, also to, you know, make sure that these animals thrive, that they have a change of, you know, environment, and they also, for example, for breeding purposes, they also get together with other animals. But that shall not be our issue. We need to understand first of all where we want to go. I decided to go for a brown bear, and this means we need to have a relatively sizable habitat. It's not going to be super huge, but it definitely has a certain size. And now we have to understand, where does it go? So this zoo has a desert house in the center. We do have a penguin habitat, an African penguin habitat here on the left-hand side. We do also have some other, this is the shafak in here. Then we also have the baboons on the left-hand side, and we've got a reptile house. So it's not like I'm not continental aware in that sense that this is all Africa. It would technically fit that this is more like African theme. We couldn't say it's all temperate because it's not, and so it's a bit more of a mixed zoo approach, which definitely goes down to the fact that this has been a city zoo and not been planned as a modern approach of continents or different themed areas. So that's why we don't follow necessarily a certain theme, but in terms of logistics, we also need to take into consideration certain things. So as we go, we've got some smaller animals over here. We do have a backstage hub available available on this left-hand side. However, I want to branch out a bit more here to the right-hand side. So what I did in the past is to have like an accessible area over here. This is like the access area for the backstage. This is where one of the backstage hubs is, and they can actually get into the zoo via this route. And there's a very nice possibility to go through here. I haven't really connected that, but this is going to be like a bit of a street that connects all the way over here, having a bit more of a huge space available where they can go through, and then this would be a potential area, and actually this is gonna be our area. Now the only question we need to answer is where do we want to have the backstage access? So in terms of going through here, we would need to have that main road, which is a bit of an odd one for the backstage. I don't want this, so what we are going to do instead is we're going to have a backstage access via the right hand side that's going to be connected then with the outside of the zoo, and we have a second separate entrance available if they go with like some smaller vehicles through the middle part here. So that's the first step we are doing. Now, as this is the area, the first thing I'm going to do is, and this is just like for me at the moment, you know, I'm going to do is just going to paint this. It doesn't even matter what you do, but it's just like a very little hint that this is going to be the area we are in. And so I'm just going to paint down here. I'm just going to paint bear, okay? And just for us as a little info, this is going to be bear area. Now, at this point, I have decided to go for the bear, and we have located where the habitat is going. And now a couple of things happen. So the first thing that comes to my mind when I have this area separated is, what exactly should this whole thing look like? We have a certain theme going on. Obviously, it's going to be a city zoo with some Dutch influence in the architecture. That is more or less a set thing. And we also have a certain layout style of the zoo. Now, what I want to do and want to ensure is that we have some very nice viewing opportunities. And before I really get into that, I'm going to just lay out a bit of a pathwork. It's not going to be a crazy amount of pathing or so on going on. It's just like, for me personally, a little bit of a reminder where certain things want to go. So I'm going to take like a bit of a bigger path over here, also in terms of the height, elevation, and so on. That's not going to be the final one. I want to have a bit more of an elevation here in the center. So actually, you know what we could do, just for, and this is how I usually do that, like it's in my head now, things are building, and I'm going to follow them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this pattern here in the center a little, because I want to have this raised area, and then I'm going to smooth it out here to the edges a little bit, just like so. Also, let's go back to grass short, because I don't like the sandy color in terms of seeing how the incline really is. So that's that, just making sure that I understand how that looks. And then I'm going to go and use the flatten to surface tool, because that one gives me the ability to make a very subtle incline if I want to. So I'm going to go and hover my mouse over until I'm happy. So that's going to be the incline I'm looking at. It's much better. And the same goes on that side, looking for a very subtle one, bringing them all the way over here. It doesn't need to be perfectly fine. You can then use flatten to foundation to just kind of make sure that you don't have that little bump in there. Use the smooth tool, you know, just like that. Again, it's not the final way it's going to look, okay? It's just for me at the moment a little bit of a way of doing it. So I'm going to then drag the pathway over here, just making sure that I understand this is where I want to go. And then, you know what, I just also want to have like a bit of a viewing platform maybe here in the center, just like somewhere over here. Again, it doesn't matter if that's the final version. It just doesn't matter. I'm just going to place that here so I have an idea what I kind of want to do. So that is that. And we have a certain area set. Fine. Okay, this is going to be like a plant area, or maybe like a restaurant in front of it, because we do certainly have a need of a restaurant in this section. This is also something I do most often try to also plan in. So we are lacking in a restaurant. The other one is over here, and then maybe something for this area. We could have some seating here in this part. That could be the seating. And then over here we could have the restaurant itself, for example. And then here they go some, you know, in this area we will have some trees and so on. Just making sure that I plan in certain elements. Okay, so that could be it. So just for me as a reminder, at this point in time, it's really the moment where we're going to leave the game, because not everything works in my mind. I need to have some inspo first. And what I used to do is I'm going to go to Google. Right, so in Google, what I do like to do the most is I'm gonna type in zoo chat bear habitat. That's all I'm going to do. The reason why I do this in front is there is a website called ZooChat, and this website is amazing. It's a huge database of pictures and info around zoos in general. You can see that the source of the images now, everything is ZooChat, and you can see there are a lot of different zoos in here. And just like I said bear, but I did mean the brown bear. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to type in brown bear as well to make the search a little bit more precise. And then what you'll find is a lot of images around brown bear enclosures. And what I'm most likely looking at are some inspiration things that spark my idea what to do. What I do find quite interesting is that one over here. I do like the stone kind of pattern over here down here. Look at that one. Quite like that little shallow line on the water. I'm just going to open that real quick. We're going to have a look at which zoo that is as well. And then so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through here and have a look at certain things that spring to my eyes, and you know how I want to do certain things, like this one over here with a bit of an interesting stone pattern. There's also some YouTube videos then eventually, but you can see there's a nice way of integrating like a gate. There's like a shallow zookeeper gate entrance. Actually, that one's pretty nice indeed. Just kind of keep that in mind. And then this is the way I'm just going to click through here a little. Like, honestly, this is the way of doing it. We can see also a Eurasian brown bear, American black bear habitat. They actually go together. That's interesting. But we can actually open that real quick. And also, this is typically how a European zoo also used to have these ponds in the middle. But one thing I didn't talk about, well, we get to that in a second. You know, I get the inspo. This is pretty damn nice. And let's go quick and have a look at what we can do as well. Look, there's this one over here, brown bear enclosure, bear exhibit, Syrian brown bear. And this is, which zoo is that? Sometimes there is the Bursa Zoo. You can open that one too. So the Bursa Zoo is, where is that one? I have no idea. Songali Zoo, Bursa Zoo. I have no idea what that is. That's in Turkey. Okay, very interesting. So that's the Bursa Zoo. What we could then do, then we have the Bursa Zoo over here, and then you can see this is the one we are looking at now. Most likely, if you type in bear, you could potentially find them. Okay, they don't say that this time around. So what you would need to do then is to go to the website of the Bursa Zoo, which we can easily go via here. And then usually they should have a link to the website, which I don't think it is over here. Where is that one? It's a small zoo. I can't really find a website, which is a bit of an odd one. There you go. Maybe this is the one. Let's have a look. Maybe this is the one. My Turkish is not the best, so let's translate that to German just for the sake of having that. And then there's the zoo map. This is the one I was looking for. Let's zoom that in a little. And then let's see where we can find the... Oh my god, I have no idea how bear is called in Turkish. Can you have... Oh yeah, look at that down here. The American Himalayan. That should be it, maybe? You know, maybe it's down here. I think that could be llama, emu, kangaroo. What is bear in Turkish? Ai, okay, so that's the name, Ai. I mean, I said I'm not going to cut too much, and this is why we do this. So Ai is basically the bozai. That could be the brown bear. 31. This is the aimer. Put anything down. 31. Wait, 31. 33. What's the naming so odd? Blah, 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 blah. I just need to understand where it is. 31, there. That's the boss. Like, it's on the left-hand side next to that one. There is this one. Okay, let's go back to the map. And as this is the zoo, we can actually try to find that real quick. So this is the little pond. So that should be the bear habitat, right? This is exactly what we saw. And the reason why I'm doing this Google Maps thing is to get an idea how certain layouts are done. Look, there's the viewing platform for guests over here. Very nice, embedded here with the pathway and so on. We also have a bit of a, I guess, pond or so in the front. There's like a very interesting structure here as well. And it seems like on the back side, we also have some other enclosures of whatever that is. We can have a look over here what that is. Could also be the bear that they can go there, I guess. But yeah. So I also prepared a couple of other things just to give you an inspiration. So this is that, but I also did the same for the Berlin Zoo because I found that they also did exactly what I'm about to do. They did rebuild a new habitat for the brown bears. So if we check this out, for example, there is the brown bear habitat that we had, the Bursa Zoo. Where's the The other one, that's the one we all opened, but I also found the one, there you go. This is the Berlin one. And there's also the old one, for example, over here, which you can see isn't really that nice looking. Yeah, it's a bit of a dull one. And the new one in Berlin seems to be a lot more natural and a lot more nice looking with that big boulders and, you know, a big old log in here. Very nice. I do like that. That one also seems to be the old one. Modified exhibit. Ah, no, that's actually, it seems to be the new one. Let's have a look if we can find some more. Modified, or maybe August. Okay, so they do this again now, which is interesting. That's from 2010, but you can also get an idea how that looks. So I was going to the website and have a look how that is. Then I just looked at the zoo plan to understand where the bear habitat is. And what you just saw earlier on is that we found the bear habitat now in the Turkish zoo, also relatively to the center. And what now is going on here in the Berlin zoo is also that you find the one a bit more to the center, which is, where was that again? There you go. It's not really super centric, but it's not on the side of the zoo. And it also is embedded similar to what we have. There's the Hippo Bay. We do have the Dolphin Bay relatively close to it, and our aviary, which you can see there's an aviary over here. So it seems like zoos thematically would do it that way. There's also another picture I found of a different zoo. This is the bear conservation working for bears. This is in Augsburg. I like that ditch down here quite nicely with these glass pieces and also having these very run-down concrete stuff. Very interesting to look at, but I want to make it a bit more nature-based. And then if we go to the bear habitat in the Zoo Berlin, and this is very interesting, by the way, this is where I went to university. So I spent a lot of time down here in that building. There is like a very nice sky terrace kind of bar, cafe, where I spent a lot of time doing my research and so on. And my university was basically down here, just a bit more down here. Just like a bit of an excursion. But yeah, so the bear habitat is that one in here. And you can see what they did. They have a building that is actually working for a lot of other habitats as well. If we go back to the zoo plan, and just to make sure that we understand the right one. So there's the Hippo Bay. And then if we go back to the zoo plan, you can see there seem to be more animals than just the one. I guess there's also that picture a bit bigger. This is the biggest I can get, I guess. Or can I zoom in? I can actually zoom in. Look at that. So we do have also some wolves down here, it seems like. And there is the bear with the waterfront as well. So if we go back to this one, supposedly, I'm not entirely sure if this is the bear habitat or if that is the bear habitat, which is a bit more overgrown. But nevertheless, the input I needed is look at the building, how it looks from above, like very backstage-ish over here. There is the entrance to the backstage. There's like a little gate. We've got two separate buildings to the left and to the right. There's like the backstage hub. You can see some dumpsters and stuff in here. But if we have a look, you can also check out that the bear habitat over here is potentially also very nice connected. They go in from the left-hand side and also have a centric shelter piece, which almost looks like residential. Sometimes zoos do have Google Street View. Unfortunately, this one over here doesn't, as you can tell, which is a bit of a pity. I hoped it was having it. You can also go there. I'm not sure what we will be able to see there. Okay, that is not too helpful. There is something in here interesting, but again, not sure what that is. So let's actually go back to the card. How do I get back? Back to the card. There you go. And have a look if there is another way of getting there. Yeah, maybe we can see something from over here. Let's have a look. It's a bit of a shame that not all zoos have it. Some zoos have very nice stuff. I want to get here. Can I just drop my little thingy down here? I can't. Okay, so it doesn't take it. It's a bit of a shame, but this is the way how it looks. Can we actually do this over here? Maybe with the Bursa Zoo? Okay, so they do have a viewing point over here at least, which is great. So you can see this is the bear habitat. There is like a bit of a nice stuff over here. So that's very open. Seems like to be winter when we're looking at it, or maybe spring. I don't know. But yeah, interesting to say the least. Now, when this step is done, I have a lot of information gathered, and it's time to go back to the game to make all that info work. But hold on, I have actually forgotten one thing. This step we're talking about right now is not necessary for all your builds, just to keep that in mind. But as I have a trivia in the entire zoo, we need to keep that in mind. And as we did have the bears already, this is the original bear shelter, okay? This is very much inspired by the old Berlin Tiergarten, which is the Bärenzwinger, which if you haven't seen the episode, make sure to watch that one to understand more about that. I also have some pictures included, which was everything but conservation friendly and, you know, very, very bad. And so we used this example as if this zoo also had such a typical very early or like late 18th, 19th century kind of build. This is definitely what we don't like, but that means they moved the bears somewhere else. And as a city zoo most likely is very short on space, has a lot of issues. Potentially this area wasn't just a free area, but it did have already something in here. And I thought about what animal could be like realistically a storyline that we can use. And what I came up with is a hippo. Okay, so I want to make sure that we do make sure that this has been a hippo habitat and we turn that into a bear habitat. Hold on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all check out how some hippo habitats are going to look. Therefore, we're going to go back to Google and have a little look. Right. Okay. We are back in. And now what I'm going to do is ZooChat hippo habitat. So if we have this, we can see it. And now, as you can see, there already seems to be a bit of a similarity. If we click, for example, on the Basel one, as you can see over here, that has some similarity. The problem is that most likely we are looking already at some more modern ones. So what I'm going to type in, and sometimes this helps, we're going to say old hippo habitat. And sometimes you'll get some good results, and sometimes you don't, but we can find certain old things like this. Oh my god, look at the architecture. That's ugly as, you know, that's very ugly. Or you have something like that, you know? And I think this is what we are getting to. This is more like what I want to see. It doesn't need to be like that it is a very old one, but I want to ensure that I have a certain idea how they look. So that is perfect. I mean, look at it. This is exactly what we needed. Just to understand how these things were built in the past and how small and tiny they were. Like, I'm not going to go all the way down to this one, Memphis Zoo. Oh my god, that is hilariously old. That's maybe too old, but we can also find some other stuff. Cologne Zoo, Future Hippo House. Now, that's not, Future's not good for this sake. I want to go for the old one. We've got some concepts over here as well. But we don't want to do a modern one. We want to do a old one. This looks to be an old one too, or like an the best one. Okay, they're asking for the best one. No, I wanna. Can I type in worst hippo habitat? Hippo enclosure. What's that one like? Yeah, it also gets these fences in. Maybe that tiny thing over here is also interesting. So I want to do something that is not conservation friendly, because that wasn't going to be the plan, you know. That this is just too easy then. Okay, well, I guess that's that. So we have a bit of a very old area. Okay, so I understood. What the hippo habitat then has also is an indoor section, which we're going to turn into something eventually. And now the question is, that alone wouldn't be enough for the space. So obviously the second part of it would be like a maybe backstage area turned over, or, you know, but I'm looking into having the hippo habitat. So this is the Memphis Zoo, the old one. I just opened some of them. We don't need to do TikTok hippo walk. This one is really good. This one is a really good example, actually. I think this is something I definitely want to build this off of. That's imaginatively, or kind of in my imaginary, oh my god, in my imagination, that's what it is. How it was looking in the past, and yeah, that is then not really fitting. What is going on if we click on that one too? Is there more inspo here? So this is really what I do usually, to really get an idea how to outline that. So maybe they had two or so next to each other, which we can make use of. And then theoretically, we also had this house. Okay, well, that should be enough. Let's go back to the game. All right, now back in game, I want to ensure that we make the most of it. So what I'm going to do is first of all, I'm going to go to construction, and I'm going to pay attention to concrete, just like this is the easiest way of doing it. And I'm just going to place some concrete walls down just to have that. and I'm gonna say Hippo because we do have that one wonderful Hippo statue, which makes very nice comparison to the size. So now going into that one again, and I'm gonna say concrete again because I want to make sure that this is realistic in a way. Just gonna make sure that this is kind of like this. Make that go down. So like, just like we're not building too much, okay? Don't worry. It's just for the sake of helping my understanding of how it should be. So let's move the whole thing up here. Just making sure that this goes a bit further down. Not too deep. I do like the approach of saying that there was something in the middle. So hold on. Just gonna make sure that this is working. So let's put that here. And then we're just gonna select these ones. Rotate the whole thing. Why is that like, yeah, that's the same size. There you go. Having this, it's already it's a bit bigger than what it was in the picture, but you know, just gonna, yeah, maybe make it even tiny tad smaller. That's that. And then, you know, what we could also do, sorry, let's just place a wall. So we have a wall on the sides. Doesn't necessarily need to be wonderfully done. And always doing these things kind of helps, and it definitely helps in terms of making sure that you have your best possible idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one down here then. And yeah, something like that is fine. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go and dig down here in the middle. Oops, one is a bit too small. I'm just going to dig that out. It doesn't need to be perfectly fine. You know, you can also use the flatten to foundation tool again. Make sure to use grass. Oops, go back there. And then just get this a bit closer, ever so much closer. There is that, you know. So that's this. And then from over here, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to copy these things over where realistically the rest of the habitat was. There you go. And this is more likely what we have, and basically already one of the last things we are doing now to understand where certain things go. I'm gonna say brick just for the sake of having a bit of a different texture here. These last things are basically the buildings, at least the boxes for the buildings where they want to go. Now you can basically use all the material you want to. I'm gonna use like a bit of a different brick now here to showcase what this is. It just really doesn't matter. You can also use these type of things, you know. I'm just gonna slap them down for the sake of it. So basically, I guess like the building would be somewhere over here. Just like put that in the corner and then just have that go like so, and I guess maybe something like this. And potentially they had an indoor section, you know. And I'm gonna block this out somewhere over here as if this was the indoor section they had. I think this is legitimate and this could actually work pretty well. And then what they would also have is like a backstage access. And you know what? I'm just gonna do this real quick. I'm just gonna use the normal concrete over here as like the backstage access, which is gonna go exactly like this. I'm gonna make like a bit of a kind of turn here. That's that. And we also could take the normal gravel road here to make this go into the other. Jeez, I just need to sneeze here quite a lot. Might be the pollen already. I do not hope, because I'm just about a couple weeks now I had a normal voice, and I wanna keep that, to be honest. You know, I'm just gonna change the whole appearance into that one. One of the few things now, noticing while I'm building in Planet Zoo now, and you know, switching forth and back with Planet Coaster 2, I didn't understand how much of a change it is to go back in here, specifically with some of the things that Planet Coaster 2 brought to the table that I think people didn't praise enough at the end of the day. But yeah, that's just like a little excursion. Like simple things like double tapping on the pathway to open it did work in Zoo apparently already. And I didn't know that, you know, like I never knew that, but you can do this the same with, the terrain, but you can't do this in this game. But I just tried that, and all of a sudden I was in the path menu. I didn't know you can just do that. It's so good. Anyhow, as talked about earlier, so this is potentially where this house was, and my idea was also now that next to it there was potentially also another house. So I'm gonna take like a little bit of a brick one, and I'm not sure what exactly would have been here, but I'm just gonna copy a couple of blocks in, so that this would have been maybe a different type of indoor house or whatnot that has been turned into something else. So I'm just gonna move that over. So this is that. And who knows, maybe we did have a little bit of a pond here. So just gonna make sure that there is some water in here as well. There you go. That's like a bit of water. And last but not least, this is exactly the water area. I'm just going to put like a bit down here as if there was some remaining water. And then we are going to select this and we're going to turn this into muddy water, Everglade, maybe midnight or nah, I just want a dirty water. There you go. And the same goes over here. It's going to be dirty water too. It's like a bit too much though, but it's fine. It's fine. Dirty water, there goes that. And you could also go in here, and if you're feeling it, you could also just like, you know, go here with the tool and then just go with the color picker. And we're just going to click on that one and we're going to turn that into a bit of a slightly greenish tint. I think that could, yeah, that looks a bit more realistic as it would be, you know. So this is that. And now as this is done, the last bit I'm going to do is I'm going to plan out a little, by the way, what we could also do to get a bit of a better feeling. Just going to type in oak. And we're going to place like a bit of an oak tree. That's a big one. That's a small one. Let me put one here and a bit of a different type of tree there. And we can also have the willow tree, just like get a bit of an idea. You know, it's not like you need this, but I personally like this to get an idea how the area looks like. And what I want to do now is I'm gonna paint out a bit more precise where things go. That's the last step now, really to plan a little bit what I'm gonna do. So therefore, whoops, I deleted the pass. Therefore, I'm gonna go to the tools again. And what I like to do is I like to use the sand as a marker for where the path is gonna go. You know, I want to make sure that the path is gonna go here. I'm just gonna make that even more tiny. So to make that a bit more precise. So path is gonna go here. I think this is going to be like a very nice idea to showcase. And then I want to have another little outlet that is all the way here on the other side. Gonna have like a bit of a bump in because I will need to do some height elevation changes to the habitat. Again, this is just the planning, okay? It's not the final result. I may actually bring this building over here up a little. You know what? Actually, we can do this. We can actually raise this building already a little because I want to have some more inclines in the whole building. So what we're gonna do is we're just going to, whoops, yeah, okay, sure. That was a bit of a too much harshness, but we can just get rid of it and make this whole thing be a bit of a platform, you know. It's definitely too much, it's definitely too high, I guess, but just for us to have an idea, it's definitely not the worst thing to have. And then we can paint this also in grass again, just to have that initial area here. And then surely this is going to be soil here in the center because that's all where the backstage goes. And then what I do also need to do, I need to now plan out where other things go, you know. As this is the viewing area, I need to block out certain things. This is where I'm going to use the rock pieces, and this is going to be not part of the habitat over here. So this is going to be a bit of a I don't know, planter or foliage piece or whatnot. So that's that. We're going to have the same in here in the center because I want to block the building a little bit and make sure that this is a traversable part, and we can block two sides of the habitat because realistically you also need to separate bears if necessary. Then we're going to have like a bit of a different planter over here, and we will have something that is connected to this house as well, so that both houses will have a certain element. And I think this one is going to be a bit of the backstage area in total, where we don't really do that much. And this one can become something like an indoor section that people actually can see. And therefore, just going to rotate the whole thing again. And I'm going to use the terrain paint again for the sand. I'm just going to make sure that this is another part of the area. And potentially over here, we can have some vending machines or something like that. So we could also just like give a bit of a green stripe. So that is already most of it. And what I like to do then is just like make sure that this all goes back to the like the normal soil, so we have an idea. And then this is all going to be soil here as well, because I want to make sure that people have a nice glimpse at them. However, we need to make sure that this part here is very harsh. So there's that, and we could also make the pathway go over here and have some rock go in here and make that separate. So that I know that this corner is going to be it. And then down here, I will actually make sure that the ditch goes further than just that. Okay, so going to build up from this one. So this is going to be the main view, and that's going to be the raised view. So we will potentially also raise the terrain here. So already make sure that the rock is going to go further in. So maybe that the platform is becoming partially part with the area around. And then we're going to make this whole back here also like a little bit of a mountain, so that the height elevation will play a role in this habitat. So I think that will look very nice indeed. And then I'm not sure, do we have a bear statue, by the way? I'm not sure if we have bear. Bear? Bear. That's the way we write it. Oh my god. We've got an Arctic polar bear. They're too big, actually. That's not the size of a polar bear, though. Of a brown bear. That's a bit of a shame. We can make this at least brown, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's obviously too big, but just like having the idea that the bear is in here. And size-wise, I may actually need to change a bit about this building and so on. But overall, I think the size can be very nice. And also make sure that the looks, what we had at the beginning of the video, like all these inspiration pieces, you can imagine that this is going to be the location where we have some boulders. Honestly, we can also block that out real quick. I promised you guys that this is going to be a long one, so we're going to go all in and going to show you how I typically do this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put a little bit of a couple of boulders in here just to have the idea what I want to do with this section, okay? It's not like that this is the final design by any means. Most of the times you don't even see these things. It's just for me personally to get the idea where certain things go, and then you would have another rock piece that just gonna blocks the facade over here. Something like this, okay? And then we can draw some ideas from that and make like the staff exit go somewhere, entrance go somewhere over there. And that's most likely it. The last bit I want to do is just like a cosmetic thing. I'm just going to, oops, that's the wrong direction. The only last thing I want to do is I'm going to type in, like, make sure that this is a proper writing. B, oh my god. That's too close. They blend into each other. I don't want to do this. B. E. Kind of A. And then the R would be down there. I'm just going to delete these pieces. And then I'll be able to do the terrain. And then just go. Just so you get an idea. Bear. There you go. This is exactly the size we know. So that's pretty nice. So this is there's the entrance. We can also make like, oops, that's not what I wanted. I just want to make sure that there's a arrow down here that points into the habitat, so we know that's where it goes. And then this is most likely it, guys. This is most likely it. I really enjoyed doing this video for you guys, because apparently this is something that most of the times I don't do, but I feel like this is a very... Oops, there's the menu is open. This is a very nice idea. That's why. Okay, so I forgot. Okay, never mind. Most of the times this is something, again, that I don't do, but I feel like this is a very good idea to do more often for you guys, so you have an idea where I come up with my ideas. And yeah, this is that. And now you can be excited for the next episode of Venlo Zoo, because this is then the video in which we're going to turn the planning into the actual habitat. And now you properly got the idea of how it looks. For a couple of those other habitats, I've done a little bit of a time lapse at the beginning, or like a showcase how it used to look in the past, and then how we turned that over. Like, for example, this one over here, that used to be the polar bear in this case specifically. And on the other hand side, we even have like a bit of an old seal over here. So it kind of makes sense that we have these type of water habitats in here, and you can see this, you can still see where the old seal tank was, and I want to kind of go over with this the exact same way, that you can still see that it was in already. So yeah, that's the idea. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode of making sure you guys understand how I plan my habitats, and I hope that was a lot of inspiration for you. There's a last test. If you guys made it to this point in time and you found this helpful, this is the next bit. What I really want you to do is get any tip I have said, but please type it down. I'm sorry, my voice is gonna break here. I guess it's pollen. But yeah, take any quote from the video that you wanted that is gonna help people. Take this quote and type it down as a comment. That's very important to me. Make sure it's gonna be a quote of what I said. I don't know, it's like block it out, or make sure to build whatever I said in all this video, or go to Google and look for some images. Make sure to type these things down. The reason why is I wanna test if using these phrases from the video helps the video to rank better in terms of having the actual insights of the video in the comments will enable the people to understand quicker what this video is all about. And let me just try if that works. And I do know that just a fraction of you guys always comment anyways, and then always a fraction of those people will only do this. But for those of you who are doing this, many thanks for being so involved and so into the community. And for all the other ones, you guys are amazing still. Just, you know, like the video, I don't know, leave a follow, leave a like, whatsoever. That all helps. Make sure you guys have a good time. Most important thing of all, have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you in the next one.